Hi, I'm Jason Gorber for ThatShelf.com, and we're here to talk about the Fiio UTWS5s.
ThatShelf.
So what are these? I mean, these are essentially a way of converting in-ear monitors or, headphones into Bluetooth compatible. So if you have normal wired headphones and they actually have an MMCX adapter, this does the trick. We're going to compare and contrast about what these two models are. The S5, which is a new one, just came out, just got this yesterday, and the S3. There was an S1 and S3 and now an S5. I never had the S1. The S3 I bought, and if you ever want to know when new things are coming out, just check when I actually purchase something, because I think within hours of me purchasing the S3, they announced the S5. That's kind of how it works out. But it's okay, because I had the other ones, and whatever, it all worked out. So the point of these is essentially, again, to provide a Bluetooth experience without using one of the cables. I had one of the Shure cables forever that sort of hang down in your chest, and there were certain advantages to it, which we'll get into. But really, I found that the sound quality wasn't so good, which leads to something very, very critical here. When you are going Bluetooth, the audio performance of the device that you're playing back means very, very little, because the amplification, everything, the DA converter, all that stuff is in what is playing back the Bluetooth. Of course, the headphones themselves, you can't really change that. So if you want better sound, you're not buying necessarily a better device. Again, there's caveats. You are buying better Bluetooth operation, and that's something that people have a hard time getting their head around, because like, I want better headphones, I buy better headphones. Like, well, no, you can have really good headphones and a terrible Bluetooth receiver attached to them, and it's going to sound terrible. It's kind of how it works. Anyway, let's crack this open and see inside. It's obviously been inside, spoiler. Little changes, again, and I'll contrast this directly with the 3. I thought the 3 was exactly what I wanted from it, but there was little things that were super annoying, including how the box actually came out. Getting to this stage, I found it incredibly difficult without just ripping the box to get the actual thing from the inside. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it was challenging because it was all foam. Whereas this one, it's foam inside a cardboard box. It comes with it wrapped in a little condom-y thing, which is fun. We'll get into this. This is the sort of meat and sandwich later, but let's see what else is in here. If I pull this sort of massive foam thing out, boom, you have inside one of these typical instructions / start guides, etc., 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 which frankly I hadn't cracked open because it's so much the same. You have USB-A to USB-C cable, and you have a Fiio quick start guide. Let's get this out of the glare. Fiio quick start guide. And then you have here is it only in Chinese, or is it also in English? Nice. A little sort of instruction book that sort of gives the detail about all the elements that we want, about how things actually work. The operation, which frankly can be very confusing on a bunch of these. I've been reviewing a bunch of these Bluetooth headphones. They're all slightly different. They all operate in slightly different ways. What's nice about these is it's relatively customizable. There's sort of 3 different ways that you can get it to work, again, as we will discuss in a moment. So inside here, inside the little coffin, we have the box. And inside the box, we have the actual bits. And so these are magnetically held in. Let's see how, right, so they don't fall out. And you have these, have my IEMs actually attached to them, and I'll get into that again in a second. But this bit, right here, with my headphones sort of stuck on, are the thing in question. You can see, hopefully you can see, it's got gold writing on it and a single, very quick, very easy to push button. In fact, if you push it too hard, I find this operation gets very wonky. It's very not pleasant. But nonetheless, it's sort of in this charging box. You get about 7 to 8 hours on charge on the headphones and about 30 hours on this. Looks, if I just held it up, it would look almost identical to the 3. Boom, right? Kind of the same. One has gold writing, one doesn't. Slightly bigger, which is actually a good thing for me. and the way that works. And you can see this is with another pair of headphones with the Sensophonic elements in here. These ones, which are much smaller than mine, this weird sort of things go, so it doesn't quite close. Does it still charge? On this one, on the 3s, because of what I use, the sleeves that I use on my A46s, they're quite large. They never really fit in here. It wasn't sort of deep enough. So it's been fantastic for me to actually have the slightly larger space on the inside. The sort of underneath here, you can see there's a space where the actual rest of the IEM can place. There's the IEM without my little ear thingy. But if I go in here, you can see these, they look kind of gross on camera probably, but these things are what actually go in my ear, right? So rather than having some of the built-in stuff that Shure actually sells, let's get it the right one here. I've used them so much my colors have fallen off. But yeah, look how crazy, and that's my gray hairs there, as crazy and bulky as that is. Now in the new box, if I put this in, it still sticks up a bunch, but I can kind of get it in so that it's closed enough. And you see those white lights? Let's try to do it so they're dark. There's white lights flashing now. It's kind of hard to see. There we are, white lights flashing. Let's do this. That means it's charging. Even though the thing is not completely 100% closed, it's at least charging, which is fantastic. Because I've been having to take these out, even just to get them in, to get the door closed enough for it to charge. It was driving me a little nuts. So for that alone, I'm happy with the upgrade. What else do you get? Great. So you get something that's like, let's say 50% more expensive. What do you get? Well, you get more powerful DACs, which is, great. You have more Bluetooth capabilities with aptX adaptive, which thanks to many people on places like HeadFi, finally got my head straight. It's so confusing. The Qualcomm stuff is so incredibly confusing, even from somebody who sort of knows kind of a little bit of what they're talking about. But it's all these different variations on aptX, which is essentially a better, more high-quality version of Bluetooth. aptX adaptive should be inclusive of aptX HD, which is, again, a higher resolution version of aptX, or at least higher capabilities. It's weird to talk about resolution. That's the sample rate. But these headphones work with adaptive, but don't work with aptX HD. It's crazy. Now, the old ones didn't do HD at all. And in my head, they did. I've been having so many headphones coming in and out, I forgot which one was which. What's also weird is, again, those of you that are fans of the channel know that I have the Fiio M15, which doesn't have aptX adaptive. It's too old. It's still Android 7, for God's sakes. So their previous flagship, now the 17 is like a brick, but their real, let's say, legitimate portable player that's truly portable in the slightly bigger than a phone category doesn't work with these at the highest capabilities that these go. People can actually buy USB-C adapters to have the new versions of Bluetooth. I'm not going there yet. I just want something that was just good. If I really, really am worried about like super crazy audio quality, I'm gonna eschew Bluetooth anyway and just go wired. I mean, like this is all about the balance between something that sounds really good, that gets the most that I can out of my headphones using Bluetooth. These headphones themselves are so much better than any Bluetooth headphones I could afford that are just built in Bluetooth. Plus, it allows me to, God forbid that this ever stops working. I keep pointing them. God forbid this ever stops working. I can just replace them, because the headphones themselves will last me decades if I treat them well. Whereas, let's say, just God forbid the battery of this goes, I get a new one. I don't have to buy an entire new set of headphones. I love that. That's what I like, is that my ability to completely customize them. That's what's nice about this MMCX. Now, you gotta be really, really, really careful when putting these on. I find that unless you get it like anything, go straight down the middle, otherwise you're gonna have a lot of problems with these. It is super easy to damage MMCX, and if you do so, you're screwed. You need new headphones, as simple as that. So, once they attach, they're kind of attached. It's not something, it's the actual connector itself is not designed to go in and out and in and out. That's why I'm not on camera taking these off again. The differences, again, between the 3 and the 5, way louder. way, way, way louder. What's fun about it is that you can adjust the volume on the Fiio app of these independent of the actual volume on Bluetooth. So you actually set the volume for the Bluetooth amplification, and then master volume sort of controls where it is relative. Haven't really decided where the sweet spot is. I'm kind of like 3/4 of the way volume on the headphones themselves, and then that basically now on my phone, on my S21, I'm maybe a quarter volume, and it's still way more impactful than I would have any need for. And again, these Shure A46s are not the easiest things to drive in the world. So the fact that they have this much power is remarkable. Even the voice, the crazy British voice that actually sets up and tells you whether you're connected or not, sounds better. It's just it's a clearer voice, if that makes any sense. The way that it all bounces out, if the actual size of them themselves, let's actually compare them directly. They're not breaking anything. They look absolutely identical on that front. You can see it's kind of weird, but the actual things, like if you just hold them up, you would not know that the one on the left versus the one on the right, these are two different models. Only if I turn it around, you'll see that one has gold on it, right? So they look pretty much the same. This one is slightly thicker, if that makes a very, very, very slight difference. Slightly thicker this way to fit in the new electronics. Is what it is. So I have found pairing on this was way easier. You're supposed to be able to pair as one device. And whatever I did, however many times I reset the threes, it always came up as two devices. Now it would eventually click over and actually allow you to do it, but it showed up as two devices. So I was either connecting right or left. I always had to make it forget or ignore that stuff and have the two of them speak to one another. In other words, it made a stereo pair because there's no wireless connection, but from your phone, from your device, it just showed up as two separate things. And this, it properly shows up as one thing. Great. Excuse me, dry throat. Super, super quick to pair, super quick to engage, super quick as soon as I pull it out, it's ready to go. Fantastic. I have no delays whatsoever. Now, again, the way that I've been running these before is I want to be able to sort of power them off without having to put them in the case and stuff like that. I've wanted to power them off without having to put them in the case and stuff like that. And the way that you do that is with the push button. Click and hold. On the Fiio app, you actually have three options about what these buttons do. Sometimes it's use the assistant, sometimes it's play next track. If you click and hold, you can actually adjust volume if you actually want to be able to adjust the volume, rather than simply setting the app and going from there. And identical to what the other model is, and yet I found it more responsive. I found it quicker to do stuff. When I would hit pause, it was almost instantaneous, whereas the other one I felt like it was just taking a moment to think. So it's essentially all the things that I thought were pretty good, but not 100% there with the 3 model, seemed totally fixed for me on the 5. The way I use these are the ones I wanted to use. Because of I'm finding the bass substantially better, I'm finding the impact substantially better. Its ability to go to slightly louder volume is one thing, but being able to dial it in is an even better thing. The DACs just simply are doing a better job of reproducing the music in a much more, frankly, musical way than the 3s. I honestly didn't think there would be that much of a jump. It's one of those things, it's like you kind of hate to admit that when you purchase this stuff, you kind of hope that, it's just going to be the same and a couple little quirks are sorted out. But sort of going back and forth between the 3 and the 5, I got to say, the 5's a hell of a lot better, especially for these headphones and driving them. So yeah, there we are. There's our very quick look at the UTWS5. I think that if you have a pair of headphones with this connector, these are definitely ones worth checking out. There's other options. I mean, Fiio even has an option that's essentially wired. You use your normal wired and you plug it into, it looks like a pager. You plug it into that. There are other ones that sort of form kind of like necklaces. You can go that route, but really for me, it's like I'm going this way or I'm going wired. And frankly, if I'm truly sitting at home and listening to wired stuff, I'm probably not listening to my IEMs. I'm probably listening to my my Sennheiser 802s. So for what I want, I'm going to get the most of these headphones on flights, when I'm traveling, just when I'm walking. If I'm listening to something as silly as a podcast, this is definitely what the way I'm going to go. I will say they are useless for phone calls. 100% useless. They promise all this stuff about that there's a mic here and a mic there, and you can actually see there's a microphone sort of on the top and a microphone sort of on the bottom here. Just completely useless. You sound underwater. It is completely ridiculous. Now, granted, the microphone's way the heck up here and doesn't really drop down. I mean, even the old school sort of Bluetooth things sort of came and the microphone's somewhere near your mouth. I have all this hair. That's sort of in the way. But when you're outside, all it gets is wind noise and the noise of traffic. The person can't hear you even if you're yelling. And inside, again, it sounds like you're underwater. So that is a bit frustrating. I still have to figure out a way that I can keep my headphones in, answer a call, have just the audio from the call go here, but still, hold my phone. That way I don't have to take these in and out every time I'm taking a bloody call. It is a pain, but it is what it is. But as headphones, as things to listen to, as a Bluetooth adapter that does the trick, that gives me sound substantially better than the Shure solution, and already better than the W3, I think these are the way to go. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe. Please follow us on social media. Let us know in the comments about what you think of this model, and we will see you next video. All the best.